Ya Allah, aku tidak pernah khianat kepada amanah yang telah Engkau berikan padaku. Aku tidak pernah penat dan letih berkhidmat untuk rakyat di bumi tercintaku. Aku akan terus korbankan jiwa dan ragaku dengan titisan keringatku, supaya Malaysia, negaraku, terus makmur dan maju. Rakyat berbilang bangsa dan agama hidup aman dan bahagia. Ya Allah, jadikan Malaysia, negaraku, negara berkat dengan rahmat. Ya Allah, ampunkan silap dan kelemahanku. Tiada kesempurnaan dalam upayaku.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Saya Muhammad Najib bin Tun Haji Razak telah dipilih sebagai seorang ahli Dewan Rakyat dengan sesungguhnya bersumpah bahawa saya akan dengan jujur menunaikan kewajipan-kewajipan saya sebagai demikian dengan segala daya upaya saya, bahawa saya akan menumpahkan taat setia yang sebenar pada Malaysia dan akan memelihara, melindungi serta mempertahankan perlembagaannya.
The One Malaysia concept, introduced by Malaysia's sixth Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Abdul Razak, on April 3, 2009, emphasized People First, Performance Now. One Malaysia, rooted in the Federal Constitution and Rukun Negara, it aims to protect the rights of all ethnic groups and foster national unity. Unlike mere tolerance, One Malaysia promotes true acceptance of Malaysia's diverse society as a source of strength. The opposition's Middle Malaysia vision was seen as a reaction to One Malaysia's growing acceptance. Najib's vision, infused with Islamic values, seeks real integration and equality among Malaysians, regardless of race or religion.
So now I will explain about the aspiration of One Malaysia, idea by Yang Amat Marhamat Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib in 2009. It was a goal to foster unity among the diverse ethnic and cultural groups in Malaysia. To achieve this goal, the first initiative was Government Transformation Program, or GTP, second Economic Transformation Program, ETP, last was Foreign Policy and Regional Influence. All of this was announced in 2010. The importance of GTP aimed to improve the quality of Malaysians through crime prevention, better public transport, and financial support for low-income families. One of the options was reducing crime. The government increased the number of police officers on patrol, introduced community policing programs to build trust between police and citizens, and use technology like CCTV camera in urban areas to monitor criminal activities. For example, urban neighborhood in Kuala Lumpur saw an increase in police presence, which contributed to reducing street crimes like snatch thieves. After that, rising living standards of low-income families. Programs like Bantuan Rakyat 1 Malaysia, BR1AIM provided direct financial aid to help families with basic expenses. Additionally, low-cost housing projects were launched to ensure affordable homes for low-income groups. For example, the Pupils Housing Program, PPR, provided housing for urban poor communities. Not only that, enhancing urban public transport, the Klang Valley MRT project was developed to reduce traffic congestion in cities by providing efficient and affordable public transportations. For example, the MRT Sungai Buloh to Kajang line connected areas in Kuala Lumpur, this helping commuters save time. Furthermore, lowering the cost of living, the government subsidies essential goods like rice, cooking oil, and sugar. However, urban families continue to face challenge due to high housing, transportation costs, especially in cities like Penang and Kuala Lumpur. The second One Malaysia initiative is Economic Transformation Program, ETP. The importance of this program focuses on transforming Malaysia into a high-income nation by prioritizing key economic sectors and public-private partnerships. One of them was high-income target. The Economic Transformation Program aimed to increase Malaysia's GNI per capita from 7,000 to 15,000 by 2020 to make it a high-income nation. For example, this goal required significant investment in industries that could generate high economic value. In addition, National Key Economic Areas (NKEAS) focuses on 12 key sectors, including oil and gas, palm oil, tourism, financial service, and healthcare. For example, the oil and gas industry was supported through projects to increase domestic production and explore alternative energy sources like solar power. Not only that, public-private partnerships. The government collaborated with private businesses to reduce regulatory barriers and encourage investment. For example, private companies were incentivized to invest in renewable energy projects, creating more jobs in the energy sector. Moreover, tourism development promoted Malaysia as a travel and medical tourism destination. For example, the government built new attractions like the Desaru Coast in Johor and improved infrastructure to boost tourism. Also, digital economic growth focused on telecommunications and digital infrastructure. For instance, efforts were made to expand internet connectivity in rural areas, enabling more Malaysians to access online education and businesses. The third of One Malaysia initiative was foreign policy and regional influence. The importance of Malaysia foreign policy was for enhance its global standing by promoting peace and cooperation of these initiatives. One of them was National Harmony Projection. Malaysia was portrayed as a moderate Muslim majority country, promoting tolerance and diversity. For example, Malaysia hosted interfaith dialogues to promote understanding between different religions. In the same way, United States relations, Malaysia maintains strong ties with the United States through trade agreements like the TPP and cooperated on counter-terrorism efforts. For example, joint military exercises are conducted to improve regional security. Besides Middle East engagement, Malaysia built stronger relations with Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia by promoting Islamic cooperation. For instance, Malaysia hosted conference on Islamic finance and trade. Equally important, global diplomacy promoted peaceful dialogues between the Islamic world and the West. For example, Malaysia participated in international forums to advocate for tolerance and moderation. That's all from me. Thank you.
And everyone, today I'll be talking about the perspective of Malaysian citizens toward One Malaysia policy. Today I'll be talking about two perspectives, which is the positive perspective of Malaysian citizens and the perspective of youth and educated Malaysian citizens toward One Malaysia policy. So let's move on to the first perspective, which is the positive perspective. As we know, one of the One Malaysia core principle is to achieve unity and diversity. One Malaysia seeks to recognize Malaysia's multicultural and multi-religion society as a cornerstone of its identity to emphasize inclusion. To achieve this goal, One Malaysia calls on all Malaysians to value diversity to promote mutuality. Some Malaysians have welcomed the call for national unity, seeing it as a constructive start towards reconciling ethnic and cultural barriers. Malaysian citizens also see One Malaysia policy as a good policy because of economic support that is provided by the government. The One Malaysia government has proposed a program called Bantuan Rakyat Satu Malaysia or BRIM that provides direct cash assistance to the low-income family, irrespective of ethnic backgrounds. Moreover, the One Malaysia government also established One Malaysia clinics in both urban and rural areas to provide medical facilities which are accessible and moderately priced to the low-income earners. Not just that, the One Malaysia government also established Kedai Rakyat Satu Malaysia that serves the same purpose, which is to provide financial support to Malaysians by providing low-priced goods to all Malaysians. Malaysians in certain regions also supported One Malaysia for the infrastructure and development project that it brought. For example, One Malaysia has come up with a project called Pen Borneo. Pen Borneo is a major project that connects the states of Sabah and Sarawak. The purpose of this project is to improve connectivity, promote economic growth, and provide access to education, healthcare, and other opportunities. Furthermore, the One Malaysia government also contributes to the Perubahan One Malaysia project or PRIMA that help low-class citizens to buy houses with lower prices. These projects were seen as tangible results of Najib's administration. However, there is youth and educated Malaysians perspective. Young and educated Malaysians were often more skeptical about One Malaysia due to their increased political conscience and their exposure to larger global values of government and justice. This group considered the initiative to be excessive and not with the realities of normal citizens. Many believed that One Malaysia was mainly a superficial campaign that was projected onto inclination without solving structural problems such as economic inequality and ethnic differences. For them, the guidelines seemed to have problems with the frustration of the average Malaysian who had to expose itself to the increase in living costs, limited access to opportunities, and a lack of meritocracy. Zionism was increasingly motivated by the contrast between the promises of the government under One Malaysia and its perceived failures such as corruption scandals and a persistence of racist guidelines. This difference highlighted a gap between the vision presented and the tangible results achieved, increasing their skepticism. Rather than being lulled by slogans or public relations campaign, young educated Malaysians express a strong desire for systematic reforms. They believe that unity and national pride could only be achieved through meaningful changes in policies and structures. Their demands for reform often focus on critical areas such as income inequality, equal access to quality education, and fair political and economic representation. This demographic criticized the government focus on branding rather than substance, arguing that tangible process in these areas would be more to unite Malaysians than symbolic initiatives such as One Malaysia. Many also called for more transparency and good governance and emphasized that without problems such as corruption and accountability, national unity will remain an elusive goal. This emphasis on real change reflects a deep consciousness of the challenges that hinder the process of Malaysia and a frustration about the lack of political will to tackle them. One Malaysia initially generated hope for a more inclusive society, but over time, public perception became increasingly critical due to the perceived lack of follow-through on its promises, and scandals linked to Najib administrations. For many, the initiative came to represent missed opportunities for guideline, unity, and meaningful reform. That's all from me, and the negative perspective will be continued by Muhammad Iqmal. Thank you.
Now let's talk about criticism of the One Malaysia concept during Najib Razak's administration. The One Malaysia concept introduced by former Prime Minister Najib Razak was designed as a platform to promote unity among Malaysia's diverse ethnic groups. While its intention appeared noble, the initiative faced widespread criticism due to its perceived ambiguity, political motivation, and implementation inconsistencies. Below, we explore 5 primary criticisms of One Malaysia concept. The first one, it is the lack of clarity and understanding. No clear definition or roadmap for implementation of One Malaysia, and even leaders like Mahathir Mohamad expressed confusion about its purpose. The contradiction between promoting equality and existing policies favoring certain ethnic groups, and its public skepticism due to inconsistent messaging from the government. The second one is perceived political moves. One Malaysia has been seen as a political strategy rather than a genuine unity initiative. A survey showed 46% believe that it was a political tactic. Also, One Malaysia was introduced after Barisan Nasional's poor performance in GE 2008 election, and it is used as a branding exercise for Najib's administration. Okay, so move now to point 3, undermining Malay rights. Malay rights groups like Perkasa feared it will weaken Putra privilege. It is also concerns that it conflicted with Article 153 of the Constitution, and One Malaysia policy has faced criticism from both non-Malays for not being inclusive enough and Malays for potentially eroding their special rights. For the fourth point, it was association with the 1MDB scandal. One Malaysia brand was tarnished by 1MDB corruption scandal. Billions of dollars misappropriated, damaging trust in the initiative, and public saw the concept of One Malaysia as linked to corruption and mismanagement. And the last criticism of One Malaysia is inconsistency in implementation. Government actions often contradicted with initiative values, such as suspension of journalist Hatta Wahari. It is also unequal distribution of resource despite claims of fairness, and it's perceived as a superficial branding effort rather than a real policy change.
Now, let us discuss a bit deeper on this topic about One Malaysia. But before that, we need to ask a few important questions. Number 1, was One Malaysia consistent in what it said and what it did? Number 2, did it actually benefit the people? And number 3, did it cause controversies? Now, let's take a look closer at this. So, for question number 1, was it consistent? Unfortunately, the answer is no. The ideas behind One Malaysia were good because it talked about equality and also unity for everyone. But in practice, things were actually different. For example, while One Malaysia promoted fairness, the government continued to rely on Bumi Putra policies, which focused only on one group. And these policies gave special privileges, but they didn't align with the campaign's promise of being inclusive. This inconsistency made people question if the government was serious about the program, and the mismatch between the ideals of One Malaysia and also the actions of the leaders created doubt and skepticism. Question number 2. Did it benefit the people or the Malaysian citizens? The answer is yes, to some extent it did. Some programs under One Malaysia were genuinely helpful. For example, Clinic One Malaysia, which provides affordable healthcare for many people. especially in lower income groups. Example 2, BRIM, that a program that gave financial aid to families who needed the most. So these programs brought real short-term relief for those struggling financially or needing healthcare. However, critics pointed out that these solutions was only temporary. They didn't solve bigger problems like economic inequality, ethnic divisions, or the lack of trust between communities. So in the long run, the programs didn't create lasting change or address deeper issues. Last but not least, question number 3. Did it cause controversies? The answer is yes. One Malaysia led to several controversies, and the biggest one was the 1MDB scandal. This corruption scandal involved high-ranking officials and billions of ringgit. It destroyed public trust in the government and overshadowed the ideals of One Malaysia. Another issue was the continued use of race-based policies, like the Bumiputra agenda. These policies made people feel excluded and went against the program message of unity. Instead of bringing people together, it created more division and distrust. These controversies made many Malaysians feel that One Malaysia was just a political slogan and not a serious plan to improve the country. As a conclusion, let's recap those 3 questions. Question 1. Was One Malaysia consistent? No, its actions often didn't match its words. Question 2. Did it benefit the people? Yes, but only in small and temporary ways. 3. Did it cause controversies? Unfortunately, yes, and those controversies hurt the program's credibility. Actually, One Malaysia had good intentions and started important conversations about unity and fairness, but it fell short of its goals because of inconsistency, short-term thinking, and a lack of trust. Still, it teaches us an important lesson, which is to achieve real unity, fairness, honesty, and leadership that people can trust. Thank you.
The One Malaysia campaign was conceived out of a dream to build a harmonious and inclusive Malaysian society in the country's multiracial society. Although its lofty goals are in line with the country's vision of integration, the success of campaign is seen with ambivalence. Critics view One Malaysia as a political ploy and not an actual initiative, while its supporters see it as an important step toward diversity and unity. Whether it failed or succeeded in bringing about true national harmony, the campaign initiated important debates on inclusivity and the difficulty of achieving that harmony. In retrospect, One Malaysia is a poignant reminder of the need of visions of harmony to evolve at a greater rate with constant and genuine action. Whether seen as a political slogan or a development program, it highlighted the need for continuous efforts towards building a harmonious and just society.
Selamat tinggal, Najib dan Rosma. Selamat tinggal, Najib dan Rosma. Dukunglah Najib Rosma, sudah tiba